wow. What other words can I use to describe what we have just seen other than wow and holy shit, as the fans chanted several times tonight? You know, it's these NXT Takeover specials that remind you of why you are a wrestling fan. If you enjoy the WWE, if you enjoy wrestling, period, it's nights like these takeover shows that give you a good reminder as to why you are a fan of professional wrestling. Because NXT does not do any of this sports entertainment bullshit. They give you professional wrestling. And that is what we saw tonight, was a shit ton of damn good professional wrestling. My God. And one site that I enjoy seeing here tonight, you guys wouldn't know this because you don't know how I write my notes, but I'll give you a little bit of insight. Excuse me, Jesus Christ. I'll give you a little bit of insight as to how I write my notes. Anything that does not have to do with a match, if it's a backstage segment, if it's something to do with like a GM or a commissioner being backstage talking about something, what have you, a backstage segment involving two wrestlers, something other than a wrestling match, I put it in black, bold type. Bold type. No underline, no bullet point, just bold type. And in my NXT review, guess how much bold type I have? 0. None. We got every bit of the time that we paid for NXT Takeover. This is why NXT Takeover is my WrestleMania, is my SummerSlam, is my Royal Rumble, my Survivor Series, is because of nights like this, and because NXT is capable of giving you matches and feuds that make their superstars seem like superstars, seem like megastars. That is what NXT does. It's not like in WWE where you don't give two shits about any of the matches on the WrestleMania card. It's not like that. If you are a regular viewer of NXT, you are invested in every single one of these matches tonight. I mean, maybe the Andrade Cien Almas match, not so much, but mainly just because, there was no story built into it, but the fact that it was the debut of Aleister Black automatically gave you reason to be invested in it and invested in the result. But every single one of these matches, people had some form of investment in. Whether it was they were anticipating the debut of Aleister Black, whether it was they were going to support Ty Dillinger and his team and want them to take down Sanity, whether it was wondering whether or not the Revival or DIY put together could take down the Authors of Pain, whether it was wondering whether Ember Moon, the undefeated challenger, would beat the undefeated champion Asuka and finally slay the dragon, whether it was wondering whether the era of strong style would rise again in NXT. I am wearing my Nakamura shirt, but there was some form of investment in every one of these matches. And on WrestleMania, out of 13 matches, if you include the pre-show, 0 that I'm invested in. So I feel like that should tell you something. The fact that they are able to reel you in such a way to where you are invested in every single match on that card, and they give you non-stop action. You want to call TNA total non-stop action? Bullshit. This was complete and utter total non-stop action here tonight from the Amway Center in Orlando. This was probably one of the best TakeOver shows I have seen. Now, a couple of the matches didn't exactly live up to expectations, but the show as a whole was very, very good. Well, I'll say one match didn't quite live up to expectations. I will say that. One match didn't quite live up to expectations. But this was, as I said, probably one of the best TakeOver shows that I can remember seeing. It was absolutely incredible. Tonight, NXT Takeover Orlando, April the 1st, 2017, live from the Amway Center. Greetings, people of the interwebs. It is Dan here, and welcome to your official review of NXT Takeover Orlando. The show opened up with Triple H off to the side of the ring, delivering a We Are NXT promo, saying, "We are NXT and we have come home." And then they showed a hype package, because of course, Orlando is where NXT started. Then they showed a beautiful promo package showing the history of NXT from the very first episode to Seth Rollins becoming the first NXT champion. And basically the whole big story behind this show was that it was the start of a new era for NXT. This is going to be a new NXT. We got new title belts tonight. One or two of them I'm not so pleased with, but I'll get to that in a minute. But we have new title belts, just new. It is a new era for NXT. Who knows? We may see a different setup come the next NXT tapings at Full Sail. I don't freaking know. But that was the whole story behind tonight, is that this was a new beginning for NXT. And that really showed with this, man. 15,000 fans packing the Amway Center. That's more fans than show up to any of the Orlando Magic games. Ha ha. Slam to any Orlando Magic fans out there. So the proper show kicked off with Ty Dillinger, Roderick Strong, No Way Jose, and Ruby Riott versus Sanity, but No Way Jose was not able to participate. At Access, No Way Jose got taken out. He was doing a little performance thing at Access, and he got taken out by Sanity there at Access. So basically William Regal said that Dillinger, Strong, and Ruby Riott could either find another tag team partner, or they would have to be stuck in a handicap match between all of these, between all of Sanity. Then, of course, Sanity makes their entrance. Man, Nikki Cross, I'm telling you, she is looking better and better as the weeks go by. Killian Dane, same deal. Eric Young, same deal. I'm still not 100% behind Alexander Wolf as of yet, but who knows? He could grow on me. Who knows? Alexander Wolf could just become this insanely over character in my mind. But for now, I'm not quite too high on Alexander Wolf just yet. But Nikki Cross, she looks like the most dangerous goddamn person in that group. Ty Dillinger, as always, is over with his theme music. Ruby actually looks really good. I like Ruby Riott's intro music. I like her little entrance. She looks good. I heard that she's just one of these people that they called up from the Performance Center. She was known on the Independents as another name, but she wasn't exactly a huge name indie talent. But she was known under another name. I can't quite remember what her name was on the indie circuit. But she came out. She looked good. I like her entrance. Roderick got a really good pop, an unexpectedly good pop. And then they all three stand together, and you see Ty just smile, and then you hear, "Oh no, oh no." Cassius Ohno's music hits, and he comes running down as the fourth man on their team to even up the score. Gets started off really hot. All 8 people are in the ring wailing on each other. Cassius Ohno damn near kicked Killian Dane's head off with a big boot near the end of this match. Excuse me. The women officially start the match properly. Cross almost immediately tags in Wolf, then Ohno goes in, and Ohno punches Wolf's head clean off his shoulders. I would not be surprised if this dude didn't suffer something from that hit by Cassius Ohno. And let me tell you, even though I may not like his look, whether it's because of a thyroid problem or not, even though I may not like his look, even though his ring attire... Actually, his ring attire tonight looked better than that cringy Harlem Globetrotter shit that he's been wearing the last couple times. I liked his ring attire tonight a little bit better. But even though I may not like his entrance music all that much, I may not like his look all that much, I may not like his ring attire all that much, the dude can go. And he is athletic as fuck for a 270-pounder. Can you see now why CM Punk wanted this guy to be the third man in the Shield and not Roman Reigns? Just think about it. Whenever CM Punk was asked to put together the Shield, he picked Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno. He picked Chris Hero as the third man. But then WWE was like, oh no, we want Roman Reigns. Hell no, we ain't going with Chris Hero, man. Could you imagine how different WWE would look right now if Roman wasn't the third man in the Shield? We'd probably be seeing Seth Rollins as the number one guy out of the Shield. And who knows, Cassius Ohno may have had a couple of mid-card title runs on the main roster by now. But let's not speculate the past. So, again, great athleticism for a 270-pounder. Roddy gets in off a hot tag and goes mental on everyone. Takes everybody out. He hit an angle slam on Alexander Wolf, punches Young off of the apron, throws Wolf into Killian Dane, throws Eric Young and Killian Dane into the corner, and knees Eric Young, but then Wolf blocked his knee in his corner. Then they started to dominate Roddy, Sanity did. Then he eventually got a hot tag to Ty Dillinger after being dominated for a few minutes. There were good chunks of this match where Sanity were just dominating a couple of members of Ty Dillinger's team. And I think they have an official name now, but I'm not 100% sure. If they do, let me know down in the comments, but I believe I heard somebody on the Takeover show today mention that they do have an official name. But again, I'm not sure. But yeah, he got a hot tag to Ty. This completely broke down on the outside. Then back inside, Ty and Eric Young go at it for a little bit. Then Ohno goes into work on Wolf and Young. Hits Wolf with a massive elbow. Like, you could hear the contact, and I thought he nearly broke a couple of vertebrae in the dude's neck from the damned freaking elbow. Excuse me. Goes for a neck breaker and then gets blocked by Eric Young, and then Young hits a massive leaping neck breaker onto Ohno, then gets Ty in position for the wheelbarrow neck breaker, but Roddy comes in with a brutal sit kick to break up that wheelbarrow neck breaker finishing move attempt by Eric Young. Beautiful sit kick by Roderick Strong, perfectly timed. Then Nikki Cross started to attack Strong. Then because it was Roderick Strong versus Killian Dane. It was the smallest dude in the match versus the biggest dude in the match. And then Nikki Cross started to attack Roderick Strong. Ruby Riott started to attack Killian Dane. And then Dillinger is in with Killian Dane. Gets the dude up for the tiebreaker. This guy has been built up as just an unstoppable monster. And Ty got this dude up for the tiebreaker on his shoulders. But Killian Dane countered with a Michinoku driver. He does have a technical name for it. I can't remember what Killian Dane's name for the Michinoku driver is, but that is his finisher. And he hit it for the win, 1, 2, 3. Crowd was invested, man, and it showed. These dudes were getting legit heat. Sanity was getting real heat from this hot crowd in Orlando. They were getting big-time heat, man. It was crazy. Then we had probably the biggest sleeper match on the card. In my opinion, this was outside of the tag title match and the NXT Championship match. This was probably the best match on the card, in my opinion. I didn't even hardly write any notes for it. Excuse me. And I will say this, I'm really beginning to like Andrade Cien Almas a lot more right now. A lot more. He is just really growing on me. He's He's no longer Mr. Strippergram, as JD would say. I'm absolutely loving Andrade Almas and what he's doing with his career right now. This sort of renaissance that he's had as a heel. Then came Aleister Black, and my God, this guy, he may be my new favorite guy in NXT. If Shinsuke Nakamura was done after tonight, Aleister Black may just take Shinsuke Nakamura's place as my favorite character in all of NXT. Seriously. He is a fucking badass, is Aleister Black. I love his theme. It's a super shreddy, fast-paced, metal, just absolute non-stop, just, it's beautiful, is Aleister Black's theme. And then one thing that was weird is you didn't see Aleister Black, and then all of a sudden you see this man who's laid down start to rise up from his laid position. And it was Aleister Black. What do you know? Like I said, I love the guy already just from the entrance alone. And you knew that just from the entrance that Aleister Black got, you know that the dude's going to be a big deal one of these days in NXT. You know that eventually he's going to be challenging for a world title just from the entrance that this guy has. I can already tell that there are far bigger things ahead for Aleister Black. Excuse me. These guys started off the match incredibly hot with some very good sequences that got the crowd very, very hyped up, really, really into the match early on. This was an absolute technical masterclass. There were a lot of holds in this match that I thought were incredible, a lot of back and forth chain wrestling, a lot of really good back and forth technical sequences, a lot of showmanship from both men. Excuse me. Great back and forth match. There were close falls left and right. No finishers were kicked out of. One thing that Aleister Black did that I really loved is he looked like he was going to go for a plancha over the top rope onto Almas after he left the ring. But, no, Aleister Black changed his mind mid-flight and then ended up flipping backwards back into the ring instead of over the top at Almas, who was up and ready to move out of the way. I thought that was a really nice touch there by Aleister Black. But Aleister Black wins after multiple kicks to the head, and his finisher called the Black Mass. That is what his finishing move is called, the Black Mass, which is a spinning heel kick to the side of the head. Then, freaking excuse me, my God. Then, my personal highlight of the night was after this match, Nigel McGuinness said that Aleister Black was one of the brightest young talents there in Ring of Honor. I laughed so hard at that. I thought that was so goddamn funny. And friggin' Nigel McGuinness, just like, this man is one of the brightest young talents that we have here in Ring of Honor. Oh, really? I feel like you're a little bit stuck in that old company, mindset that you got there. But I thought it was funny. Aleister Black wins in his opening match after a damn good match. I know I didn't write too many notes for it and I didn't give away too much, but there was so much that happened that I wouldn't be able to write down properly that you should genuinely just go watch. If there is one match that I feel like you should go back and watch outside of like the tag and NXT Championship titles, it would probably be that Almas versus Aleister Black match, because you got to see it in order just to see how good it was. Then we had the triple threat elimination match for the tag titles. Really close to Nakamura and Rude for match of the night. Very, very close. What a hype package for this. First off, as usual, NXT pulls out all the stops when it comes to the hype packages for their superstars. They pull it all out of the bag when it comes to the hype packages. The Revival, I feel like this was going to be their swan song. They are definitely main roster bound. The SmackDown, I hope, after WrestleMania. I believe that they are main roster bound, no longer staying in NXT. DIY will stay, of course. They'll continue to fight in that NXT tag team title picture. Still crazy over with the fans as well. Regal was standing in the ring before this match. I found that to be very intriguing. And it turned out that he was going to be standing in the ring for all of the title matches, for a very specific reason. Authors of Pain, when they came out, looked fucking badass. They were wearing, like, full-on... It looked like some shit like some masks that you would see on the head of, like, a psychotic killer in a horror film. Like, that's the type of masks that these guys were wearing. And they just looked badass. They looked massive. Then the ring announcer had to correct himself to say that AOP... he initially called AOP the NXT champions instead of the tag champs. I thought that was kind of funny. And let me tell you, man, Akam and Razar, the way that NXT is building these guys up, they are making them look like legit megastars. Like, Akam and Razar are looking more badass than you would expect. Like, than you would expect for just a normal tag team in NXT. They're looking way more badass than you would think. They are looking like legit megastars right now in NXT. That's what they're making them look like, man. They are making them look like $1 million right now, man. And I love it. I feel like they need those type of megastars that they build up just from the Performance Center. These dudes just came from the Performance Center. And now they're being built up as two of the most dominant figures in all of WWE. They just came from the Performance Center. So it shows you that they know what they're doing. Very, very good. New tag titles debuted. I love the look of the new tag belts. The women's title belt and the world title belt, I didn't exactly like all that much. I feel like I like the original ones better. But regardless, the excuse me. The tag titles, I do like the new look. I do rather enjoy them. Phillips says that with a new NXT comes new titles. Wonder what he could mean by that. I honestly have no clue what Phillips could mean by that. With a new NXT comes new titles. Okay. DIY and the Revival, they just give a glimpse to each other before this match goes down. And then they agree to team up on AOP, since it's an elimination match, of course, and then worry about each other later. That's essentially what they were looking to do. They both turned to the Authors of Pain, and were just like, yo, we're fucking coming for you. DIY took on Akam, Revival took on Razar. After this, I couldn't keep track of which Author of Pain was doing what. DIY introduced a table early. You gotta love that whenever a table gets introduced early in NXT. Then, after AOP are laid out on the outside, the Revival and DIY stare down in the ring. Ciampa goes for a tag to the Revival to go in on AOP, but the Revival back down. The Revival pulls some of their great tag team tactics with Ciampa, hitting a DDT without the ref watching them, and then covered Ciampa over one of the Authors of Pain. Beautiful move, but it only got a 2 count. Then Dawson goes to tag in a DIY member, and then they back down, giving them a taste of their own medicine. I like that. Then shit just breaks down. Gargano and Ciampa take out everyone. DDT to Dawson in the ring by Gargano for a 2 count. Authors of Pain later on in the match actually used Gargano as a weapon. Used him to hit Ciampa as Ciampa was trying to go for a suicide dive outside, and then threw him into the Revival to take them out. Multiple near falls by Authors of Pain on Gargano. There was a hot tag to Tommaso Ciampa. Whoops, lost my place for just a second. Hot tag to Tommaso Ciampa. He goes crazy. Knees and boots to the face for everybody. Ciampa hits a big knee to the face for a 2 count on one of the Authors of Pain. Then DIY goes for a table powerbomb on the Authors of Pain. Both of them had one leg, or at least on one of the Authors of Pain. I can't remember. But what is the deal with my sister always walking in while I'm recording? I don't know. But anyway, let me see. Right. Okay, so DIY going for a table powerbomb on one of the Authors of Pain. Each of them have one of their tree trunk-esque legs, but they can't get it through. But then the Revival come through and put the Author of Pain through a table. Then Akam, I'm assuming it was Razar then that they put through a table, but Akam dominates despite a 4-on-1 disadvantage. Gargano and Dawson hooked in a reverse figure 4 leg lock crossface combo, but Razar does in fact get back in and break up the fall with the other two men involved in the match. I thought that was badass by the other author of Pain. Let me see. There we go. Still not a single elimination to this point, but then the match picked up right from there. All 6 men were down in the ring after that spot. Eventually, these two teams were so committed to getting rid of the Authors of Pain that Dawson combined with Gargano to do a meet me in the middle on one of the Authors of Pain, and then Ciampa and Wilder combined for a shatter machine to the other Author of Pain. Crowd was hot for this. They were chanting holy shit. They were chanting this is awesome. This was the hottest that I have ever seen in NXT crowd. This may not have been the best match of the night. It might just go to Nakamura versus Rude. But in terms of a high point for how hot the crowd was, nothing for the rest of the night would top that. DIY and the Revival were about to go out and get Authors of Pain again, but then DIY started beating up on the Revival in the ring. Interesting choice. Then Gargano and Wilder go at it for a bit. Then the Authors of Pain start to come back. They do suicide dives in stereo, meaning Wilder and Gargano. Then Dawson superplexes Ciampa into everyone else on the outside. Then Dawson tries to go and beat up Ciampa and pin him in the ring. Then the Authors of Pain make their way back in. Dawson leaves Ciampa in the ring. Authors of Pain hit the last chapter on Ciampa for the 1-2-3. That was the first elimination. There were many near falls by the Revival on the Authors of Pain. The Authors of Pain went for the last chapter, and Wilder sacrificed himself. Jumping in front of the Author of Pain that goes for the clothesline combined with the Russian leg sweep. He jumped in front of that and took that to ensure that Scott Dawson wouldn't take the full brunt of the last chapter. AOP, they are getting some real heat here, man. They're getting some major heat. This crowd was chanting bullshit. This crowd was booing them. And what can I say? That's what they're supposed to do. They are heels. They are supposed to make you boo them as loud as possible. And there ain't no bigger heels, in my opinion, at this point, than the Authors of Pain. Because they're getting legit boos from the fans. Then Dawson started dropping like a sack of potatoes. He was looking to stop the match, to be honest with you, in my opinion, because one of the Authors of Pain was trying to get him up for a powerbomb, but then the other Author of Pain gets in with Dash Wilder. They hit the Super Collider. 1, 2, 3. The Authors of Pain are still your NXT Tag Team Champions. Then, Jesus, I don't know why my throat is so sore tonight. Then we had Asuka versus Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Championship. They were hyping up the Eclipse from Ember Moon, kind of like if you remember back to Wrestle Kingdom 11 with the main event between Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. Do you remember how they were building that match off of if Kenny Omega can just hit the One-Winged Angel one time, that's it? If Kenny Omega hits that One-Winged Angel once on Kazuchika Okada, Okada is done. That is what they were building that match around. That was the same deal here. They were building that match around whether Ember Moon could hit the Eclipse on Asuka, because they've built it up to be such a powerful move. I think it's great. I think it's a great idea to build a match around whether or not one person can get one move off, because then you'll be looking for something, and when that something happens, you'll go crazy for it. Ember was very serious, no bullshit there in her entrance, just icy blue eyes, ready to stare down into Asuka. Asuka looked fantastic, better than usual, to be honest with you, in her entrance. And going into this match, I thought you could genuinely flip a coin on the finish to this one. You could flip a coin, heads for Asuka, tails for Ember Moon, flip it, and whichever result came up would be a decent guess. You know, like, nobody knew for sure, 100%, who was going to win this match. Regal in the ring again. I was thinking a new women's belt. It looks okay. It looks all right. Again, as I said, I do prefer the old one, but hey, if they want to start anew with this NXT thing, then I think that's awesome. Brutal bumps and shoves, brutal moves between Asuka and Ember, back and forth right off the bat, right near the start. Ember Moon goes for an Eclipse on Asuka early. Asuka counters into a Shining Wizard for a 2 count. Then she went for a submission on Ember for a long time. It looked like she was trying to get the Asuka lock hooked in, but she just couldn't quite get the Asuka lock. Then Moon started fading a bit, but then Ember Moon got out, and both women were down for a little bit. Both women went down. Then Moon counters an Asuka hip attack into a super kick. Both women down again. Then Ember starts to beat up Asuka, which that beatdown was blocked into a German suplex. Then Ember hit a beautiful exploder suplex for a 2 count, for a 2 3/4, I should say, on Asuka. Just barely got the shoulder up there. Then Ember Moon goes for yet another Eclipse from the top rope. Asuka blocks it, goes for a superplex. Moon blocks that. She's in position for another Eclipse. I'm thinking at this rate, what can keep Asuka down? Because Moon kept knocking Asuka down with hard hits, hard kicks. She kept knocking Asuka down, but Asuka just kept getting right back up. Then Asuka actually had a heelish move here. Very heelish move. She used the ref to bump Ember Moon off the ropes. She pushed the ref into the ropes, and the ref bumping the ropes caused Ember Moon to fall from the top turnbuckle in her attempt at an Eclipse. That's a major heelish move right there. Could this be heel Asuka that we're getting a taste of? I don't know. But then she did a kick to the head on Ember Moon, and then Asuka just pins Ember. 1, 2, 3. Okay, if that's how you want to go. It wasn't exactly the half-hour instant classic that I thought it was going to be. But hey, she didn't hit the Eclipse, to be fair. Asuka was just too hard-hitting for her. She just hit too hard, too early in this match. To me, I noticed at the very end, the women's title and the NXT World Championship both look a little bit too much like the TNA X Division title for me. Let me know if you agree with that down in the comments, but in my opinion, it looks a little bit too much like the TNA X Division title, just in terms of shape and in terms of look. It looks a little too similar. But then they showed, just before the main event, Drew Galloway was in the stands, but he was under his old WWE name of Drew McIntyre there at ringside. I was excited. I can't wait to see Drew Galloway back in WWE, hopefully on SmackDown where he'll be booked properly. But, I'm serious. I cannot wait to see freaking Drew Galloway in NXT. And you know what these superstars showing up at takeover shows usually means. Usually means that they are on their way in within the next couple of months. So hopefully, within the next couple of months, we should be seeing Drew Galloway in NXT. I am psyched. He'll more than likely be under his Drew McIntyre name, but hey, I don't care. He's still the same talented guy that went with TNA for 2 years and became one of the best known indie talents in the world. So then we had Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura in the main event for the NXT title. This match, I don't even know if I have words that can describe how good this match was. This was unbelievable. This was incredible. This was an instant classic for NXT. It could be Nakamura's last match. It might not be. But, immediately off the bat, I was thinking, could there also be a new NXT title with Bobby Roode talking about taking NXT to the next level and wanting to make it his NXT? Nakamura comes out. He's complete money. I do believe he's main roster bound for sure. He could possibly still show up at Mania. There is a way that could happen. It wouldn't exactly be easy, per se, but there is still a way for Shinsuke to be able to show up at WrestleMania. If, Shane McMahon is like, oh, well, I don't want to participate in this match tonight, I have gotten somebody to participate against AJ Styles, and then you hear Nakamura's music hit. I feel like that would be the biggest pop of the night. Yet another fantastic high package for this main event. Nakamura made his entrance completely about the fans. Because his big deal with this whole NXT feud with Bobby Roode is the fact that Bobby Roode is wanting to make NXT his. He's wanting to make NXT go corporate, go international. Shinsuke is kind of like NXT at the end of the day still belongs to the fans. So he wasn't coming out on a big fancy platform. He didn't have too many big fancy lights. He didn't have any live musical performance for his entrance. It was just, his entrance, and he circled the ring once or twice, just going to the fans. He made his entrance all about the fans. I was rocking to it the whole time, man. I'm telling you, I was marking out with all of that Shinsuke posing stuff that he does during his entrance. And let me tell you, if this was in fact his last entrance in NXT, then he made it count for sure. Then they had concert pianists to accompany Bobby's entrance music. That was amazing. That is an incredible idea. Bobby Roode's entrance gave me chills. That is all I can say about Bobby Roode's NXT Takeover entrance, is it gave me legitimate chills. And the dude looks like $1 trillion. Screw looking like $1 million. Screw looking like $1 billion even. The dude looks like $1 trillion with the entrances that WWE are giving him. When and if he makes it to the main roster, you know that they have to treat this guy right, man. You know that they do, because he knows his value. Bobby Roode knows his value. So Regal was in the ring again. Looks like we were getting another New World title belt, and in fact we did. Similar design to the women's belt, and also looks a little too much like the X Division title in TNA, but that's just me. Roode early on, whenever Nakamura was trying to play mind games, he was not falling for the mind games of Nakamura. Then he tried to go for the glorious taunt off the back of Nakamura's mind games, but Nakamura blocked the glorious taunt. Then Roode blocked the good vibrations in the corner. Then Nakamura hit a step up in Zaguri, and then hit the good vibrations properly in the corner. The story of this match, from Nakamura's point of view, was that he got sent off of the barricade and he hit his arm/elbow, so he had yet another injured body part, but then they continued to make the story of this match the knee of Nakamura. They continued to make that the story of this feud. Then Roode started to dominate the match a little bit. He slowed down the pace, getting some good heat for it, man. What can I say, man? Bobby Roode was getting some really good heat for slowing down the pace of this match. I really enjoyed it. Nakamura hits the corner double knee to the midsection, knee to the head on the apron, 2 count in the ring. Then Nakamura went for a Kinshasa, changed it to a drop kick mid-flight, then goes for a Kinshasa. Roode dodges it. Brutal chop block to the back of Nakamura's knee. It looked bad. I thought that legit, Nakamura may not be able to stand after taking that chop block from Bobby Roode. And then Bobby Roode continued to work at the knee. He locked on a lengthy figure 4 leg lock, a very lengthy figure 4. Then Shinsuke reversed the pressure of the figure 4, which I thought was impressive. Excuse me. But then Roode gets to the bottom rope almost immediately, continues to work the knee of Nakamura. That was the story of this match, man. After the arm of Nakamura, it was the knee of Nakamura continuing to get destroyed. Then Nakamura countered a single leg Boston Crab into an armbar and then into a triangle choke. Then Bobby Roode tried to get a power bomb on to Shinsuke. Then Shinsuke just countered that into yet another armbar in the center of the ring this time. It took a while, but Bobby Roode finally did in fact get his boots to the bottom rope to force Shinsuke to break the hold. Shinsuke just got some frustration blows on Bobby Roode after this. He was just hitting Bobby Roode purely because he was pissed off. That was the only reason. Then Nakamura went for the corner double knee, but Roode dodged it, and Nakamura nailed his knee onto the turnbuckle. I'm serious, it looked like his knee legit made contact. And I was worried that his knee may legit be hurt after that move. But Rude was now grasping his arm. Didn't know why, but Rude was grasping his arm. I think it had to do with a bump off the apron onto the barricade that Bobby Roode did. But Bobby Roode was grasping at his arm, and then Nakamura goes for some kicks. Rude blocks them into a backstabber for a 2 7/8, as Nigel McGuinness would say. Then Nakamura and Rude just stare down at each other in the middle of the ring, fighting through the pain, grimacing through the intense amount of pain that they have put each other through during this match thus far. Nakamura hits a big knee to Bobby's head. He kicked at the last possible millisecond to get out of that boot to the head from Nakamura. Then Nakamura went for a Kinshasa, but Bobby Roode rolled out of the ring as he got up and saw Shinsuke there, and then Bobby Roode just dropped and rolled out of the ring. Smart move by Bobby Roode. You can't deny that. Then Bobby Roode hit a glorious DDT, but didn't have two good arms for the pinfall. That was Bobby Roode's. That was the story that they were trying to tell. Is due to the fact that Bobby Roode did in fact hit the glory. Due to the fact that Bobby Roode had an injured arm, he was unable to totally put away Nakamura with the glorious DDT because he didn't have two good arms to pin him, and the good arm that he uses for the hook of the head on the DDT was the one that was hurt. So went for a DDT but didn't have two good arms. Nakamura kicked out. Then this next sequence just went crazy for a little bit, and I actually really enjoyed it. Bobby Roode just leaves the ring for a few seconds. He goes and grabs the ring bell. The ref takes it away from him. Behind him, after the ref takes away the ring bell, Nakamura is recovering, hits a head kick and then a reverse exploder. Then a Kinshasa was blocked by Bobby Roode into a spine buster. Nakamura kicked out at 2 15/16. I swear to God. Nakamura kicked out at 2 15/16. Then, of course, they continued to push the fact that Bobby's good arm for the DDT was the one that was hurt, so you weren't really sure about how this one would turn out. Then Roode gets up with Nakamura. He looked to be going for the glorious DDT. Then Nakamura rushes him into the corner, plants him on the turnbuckle. Nakamura then tried to go for another knee, but then Bobby chops his knee again, and that would ultimately be Shinsuke Nakamura's downfall. He then goes to the middle rope, doing sort of a tornado variation of his glorious DDT, so that he wouldn't have to use as much arm strength to be able to get Shinsuke up or plant him on the ground. 1, 2, 3 for Bobby Roode after that. He is still the champion. What a match from these two, man. If you do not have the WWE Network, go and get it for free. You get your first month for free, and you get WrestleMania, and you can watch NXT TakeOver and a bunch of NXT if you want to. And if you have the WWE Network and you did not watch this, what the hell are you doing? You're paying the $9.99 a month. You might as well use it. But what a match these two put on. What a main event. This is one of the better main events that I've seen at a TakeOver special. For sure. Because, like, you look at NXT TakeOver Dallas, that the main event was overshadowed by Nakamura versus Zayn. You look at, like, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 1, that the main event was overshadowed by Sasha versus Bayley. TakeOver Brooklyn 2 had a really good main event. San Antonio had a really good main event. Toronto, the main event got covered up by the tag match. But I will definitely say this was probably the best main event for a TakeOver special that I have seen in a very, very long time. And it was a great TakeOver special overall to begin with. Unbelievable TakeOver special as a whole. So that is it. That is all for my NXT TakeOver preview and predictions. Dear God, I am tired. It is 11:11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I got all of about 3 hours of sleep last night. So I am burning the midnight oil here. I'm going to go, take some Benadryl and take some Tylenol PM and then go nighty-night. So that is all from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like down below. Do not forget to, comment as well. Let me know what you thought of NXT TakeOver Orlando. Do not forget to click the red button as well and subscribe and ring the bell so that you never miss a thing that I do here on YouTube.com. Also, if you want to catch up on my other wrestling videos that I've done this week, you've got my WrestleMania predictions video. You've got my wrestling news video that Jim Ross will be calling a match at WrestleMania 33. Which match would that be? You may just have to go and watch the video to find out. But Jim Ross, the legend, will in fact be calling a match at WrestleMania 33. I have that video in my other wrestling content playlist that you can find in the description. Go ahead and watch it, please. I've also got my Raw review, my SmackDown review, NXT review playlist down there as well. Be sure to go and do that. Also, if you're looking to help me personally as well, then please do go ahead and use my referral link down below to get yourself a pro wrestling crate, because that gives me a little kickback on the next month's crate if you do, in fact, go ahead and get a crate using my referral link. Does not matter what tier you get, man. No matter what tier you get a pro wrestling crate, it'll help me get a kickback, and you can, you don't necessarily have to go for the biggest crate possible. So it works out better for both parties. So if you could do that, that would be greatly, very much appreciated. But anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much, for the recent support. Even though my sub numbers haven't been growing, and even though my viewership hasn't been as great as I'd like it to be, my regular subscribers and my regular commenters are always coming by, letting me know that I'm doing an okay job, and I just want to thank you so much for doing that for me so far. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to stop getting mushy here. That is all from me. You guys, keep yourself safe, and I will see you at a later date. Farewell.